Maybe you developed a misfire in your engine, or maybe you tried to do a service yourself and you want to do the ignition coils and the spark plugs. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. Hey, how's it going? I'm Kev and welcome to North Coast Workshop. Today we'll be doing the really straightforward task of changing over the ignition coils and spark plugs on my Mark II Leon. Now this is a 2-litre TFSI engine that you find in most Audis, Volkswagens and Seats. And links to all the products that I use today will be down below in the description. So there's probably two reasons why you're changing these ignition coils and spark plugs in your car. First of all, you could be having a misfire, or secondly, you could be doing a service in your car yourself. If you have got a misfire, I would say before you do this, have your car plugged into diagnostic software and see if you can find out the exact issue of what's going wrong with the car. You can't just keep replacing parts in the hope that one part is going to actually fix the issue, so definitely recommend first of all plugging it in. I've had 2 misfires on this car in my 10 years of ownership, and the first time I had a misfire was actually because of a coil pack. The symptoms were when I put my foot down at full throttle, about 4,500 revs, the car would start to stutter really badly and the engine management light would start to flash on the dashboard. And replacing that faulty coil pack straight away solved the issue. And the second time I've had a misfire was on idle. When the car was ticking over, it would start to stutter and sputter, and on the diagnostic software I could actually see cylinder 4 misfiring. It turned out cylinder 4 injector was actually knackered, completely shot, and R8 replaced that for me and they did a full service on all the injectors as well. Anyway, whatever the reason is for changing these, I'm here to show you how to change ignition coils and the spark plugs, so we'll get started. Right, so tools needed for the job. If you've got a standard engine cover, you'll need a pair of vice grips or pliers to remove the clips that hold on the air feeds for the engine cover. You'll also need a ratchet, a long extension, and a 16mm spark plug socket. That's the one that's got the rubber grommet on the inside to hold the spark plug. Then you need a torque wrench to get the new spark plugs torqued up to the correct settings, a flat screwdriver, and a Phillips screwdriver. Okay, so if you have the standard engine cover on just now, this could be the hardest part about this job. These tend to weld themselves onto the rubber mounts at the back of the engine here, meaning that the only way to get it off is to properly rive at the back and at the front to try and prise it off. Just make sure you take off the clips here for the air feed, also your MAF sensor, disconnect that from here as well, and also the clips for the pipe that goes down to the turbo. Remove the pipe from the clips along the side here and then take away this cover. But as you can see here, I've got a different engine cover because I've got an induction kit fitted, so I'll quickly fit this off. Oh, I do love a cheesy transition. So now that we've got it covered off, we're going to remove the wiring harness for these coil packs. Hope you can see okay. So first of all, I'm going to remove the Phillips screws from the wiring harness. So now I've got a small flathead screwdriver to release these clips, and please be careful when doing so because as you can see, I've broken this one here a few years ago.
Right, most common issue, people using screwdrivers on these clips. Don't use them. You end up like this. All you have to do, pull it in, pull the clip, pull it out. That's it. In, out. Then with all the devil clips on Volkswagens. They really ain't devil clips, even though people call them.
Push in, pull, slide. Easy. So I can't use
no screwdrivers. Leave them. Look.
Now what we're going to do now is work our way from left to right or right to left, up to yourself, but just do one at a time. Now if you can, try and pull the ignition coil up by your hand by holding the back of it here. But what you can do if it is really stuck is you can use a long screwdriver, a big thick screwdriver, and just kind of prise it up gently from either edge. And that should kind of loosen it. And that is one out. Now to remove the spark plug, pop the spark plug socket and the extension down into the hole. Make sure it's positively on the spark plug. Pop on your ratchet and loosen it. It's always a scary time taking out a spark plug. And this is a good time to maybe check your spark plugs as you have them out, just in case there's any underlying issues for the engine. I'll leave an example on screen just now to show you different conditions that spark plugs can be in and what they usually mean for the engine. Mine seems not too bad, maybe a wee bit sooty, but it seems in good condition. The ignition coils and spark plugs I'm using today are from Awesome GTI. I'll leave links to the website down below in the description, as well as the product links as well. And I'll also pop a few screenshots on screen just now of the different engines that these products fit. So while the spark plug's out, this is why I only recommend doing one at a time, because you don't want all 4 spark plugs out with 4 holes exposed. That sounds pretty bad. Anyway, yeah, make sure you drop nothing down this hole here. It's a direct feed into the top of the cylinder, and the last thing you want to do is lose any nuts or bolts through this hole. We're just going to say as well, if you don't tend to have an engine cover on your engine at all, good time to check down cylinder 4, because this cylinder is usually one that's quite bad for corrosion if water gets into it. So have a check down and see if there's any damage at all. Right, armed with this new spark plug, we're going to pop it down into the hole, pop it on the end of the socket. It stays in place, use the extension to hold onto it and tighten it as much as you can by hand first. If you feel any sort of resistance by hand, take it back out and start again, but don't force it in with a ratchet if it's struggling to go in. So that's now fairly tight, and I'm just going to nip up the last of it with the torque wrench. So we set the torque wrench to 30 Newton meters for a brand new spark plug, and it's about 32-33 Newton meters for one you've already had in before. That's it. And then we get a brand new ignition coil and pop it firmly down over the spark plug. And you should feel a positive click. And that's one done, so I'll do the same on the other 3 and I'll catch you in a few seconds. So pop in the final ignition coil. Make sure they're all down firmly. And then put our wiring harness back on. Should hear positive clicks for each one, apart from one that's broken. Pop our screws back in to the wiring harness. That's a successful job. And with the magic of camera, we'll put this cover back on. Oh crap, wrong finger. Ah, that's better. Nice.
Nice.
So I suppose now the thing is to go into this for a test drive. I'm going to brave the weather because just now it's rough outside. Oh. I have to trust me it's rough because it's pitch black too. Anyway, yeah, we'll take this for a test drive and then we'll get back here and we'll see what the difference is. But to be honest, I'm not expecting any differences from my car because I had no misfires. Maybe I'll get a few improvements in throttle response, etc. But generally, you'll notice the most difference if you've got issues with the car already, or if you haven't changed the coil packs or plugs for years. So as I thought with the test drive, there was nothing wrong with the car in the first place and the test drive didn't show any major improvements. Some owners do notice a slight throttle response improvement or they've gained slightly better fuel economy, but I reckon the owners that will see the biggest difference are the ones that had the misfires because these are usually the main cause for a misfire in the engine. And if that was the case for you, then hopefully replacing these has fixed it. And with my spare ignition coils, I'm not going to throw them away just yet. I'm going to keep a hold of them in the cupboard as spares just in case. I recommend you do the same as well. If they're not faulty, then I don't see the point in throwing away perfectly good ignition coils. There's a chance possibly that one of the ignition coils that we fitted might fail just out of the blue, might just fail, and at least then we have a spare one just to pop back into place to keep the car going. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. I've left a playlist at the top of the screen here that you can click on to see other how-to guides on service items for this car. And below that is a stage 1 video that I did for this car, where key components like this, like ignition coils and spark plugs, play a major part in achieving big numbers for stage 1. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers!